Hey there! I want to tell you something I haven't shared with many people. 3 years into my retirement, I found myself sitting alone in my kitchen at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, still in my pajamas, staring at the wall. I couldn't remember the last time I genuinely laughed. My doctor had gently suggested I might be depressed, but I brushed it off. "I'm just adjusting," I told her. But that day in my kitchen, I finally admitted the truth to myself. Retirement wasn't the golden chapter I'd been promised. Instead of freedom, I felt empty. What happened next changed everything for me. And that's what I want to share with you today. You know, when I was working, I used to daydream about retirement. All that free time. No alarm clocks. No deadlines. What I didn't anticipate was how quickly that freedom would start to feel like a burden. The structure that had shaped my days for decades suddenly vanished. The workplace relationships that filled my social cup disappeared almost overnight. And I'm not alone in this experience. Studies show that about 25% of retirees struggle with symptoms of depression, especially in the first few years. It's what psychologists call retirement shock, that disorienting period when your identity and daily purpose undergo a massive shift. For me, it manifested as sleeping too much, losing interest in hobbies I once loved, and a constant, low-grade feeling that my best days were behind me. My children noticed it during their visits, though they were too polite to say anything directly. My grandkids would ask why Grandpa didn't want to play anymore. That kitchen moment I mentioned, that was my wake-up call. I realized I had two choices: continue drifting or deliberately rebuild my life with purpose and joy. My journey back to myself started with mornings. I'd always been an early riser during my working years, but in retirement, I'd fallen into the habit of sleeping until 9 or 10, sometimes later. There's nothing inherently wrong with sleeping in, but for me, it set a tone of lethargy for the entire day. So I decided to reclaim my mornings. I set my alarm for 6:30 a.m., not because I had to, but because I chose to. And here's what my new morning ritual looked like. First, I'd make my bed. Such a simple act, but it gave me an immediate sense of accomplishment. Then, instead of reaching for my phone to check news or social media, I'd go to my kitchen, drink a full glass of water, and prepare a simple breakfast while listening to a podcast or some jazz music. After breakfast, I'd take a 20-minute walk around my neighborhood. Nothing strenuous, just movement. The combination of morning light, fresh air, and gentle exercise became a natural antidepressant. Research backs this up. Morning sunlight helps regulate our circadian rhythms and boosts serotonin production. You know what surprised me most about this simple routine? How quickly it affected my mood. Within just 2 weeks, I noticed I was waking up with a sense of anticipation rather than dread. My energy levels improved, and I found myself spontaneously making plans for the day ahead. Now, I'm not suggesting that waking up early is the magic solution for everyone. The key isn't the specific time, it's creating a consistent, intentional start to your day that signals to your brain, today matters. One of the hardest parts of retirement is answering the question, what's my purpose now? For decades, my work provided a ready-made answer. Without it, I felt adrift. I tried filling my days with busy work, organizing the garage for the third time, watching endless TV shows, scrolling through social media. But none of it satisfied that deeper need for meaning. The breakthrough came when I shifted my thinking. From how do I fill my time, to how can I use my time to create value for myself and others, For me, this led to volunteering at our local literacy center, teaching adults to read. I spent 30 years as an engineer, not a teacher, but I discovered I had patience and encouragement to offer. Seeing a 62-year-old man read his first complete paragraph brought tears to my eyes. And his. In that moment, I felt more purposeful than I had in years. But purpose doesn't have to come from formal volunteering or grand gestures. My neighbor Helen found her purpose in tending a community garden plot and sharing her harvest. My friend Richard discovered woodworking in his 70s and now makes toys for his grandchildren. The key is connecting your actions to values that matter to you. When researchers study fulfillment in older adults, they consistently find that having purpose, whatever form it takes, is strongly linked to better mental health and even longevity. Here's something embarrassing to admit. I used to pride myself on being low maintenance socially. I don't need a lot of friends, I'd say. When I retired, I didn't make much effort to maintain work relationships or build new connections. I had my wife, my kids called. Regularly, wasn't that enough? Turns out it wasn't. Humans are wired for broader social connection, and the casual daily interactions I used to have at work were more important than I realized. My turning point came when my wife gently suggested I join her weekly coffee group. Just try it once, she said. I went reluctantly, feeling awkward and out of place. But by the second meeting, I found myself looking forward to the easy conversation, the different perspectives, the simple pleasure of being known by people outside my family. This led me to join a hiking group for seniors in our area. We're not climbing mountains. Most walks are on flat terrain and end with coffee somewhere. But these weekly outings have become a highlight. There's something powerful about moving alongside others, conversations flowing more naturally than when sitting face to face. Research on healthy aging consistently shows that regular social interaction is as important for our health as physical exercise. One study even found that social isolation poses health risks comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. If you're thinking, that's fine for extroverts, but I'm more introverted, I understand. I'm not naturally outgoing either. The key is finding connection that fits your personality. My friend David, who's quite introverted, joined an online chess club where he plays regular matches with the same few people. The interaction is limited but meaningful. Start small. One consistent social activity each week can make a significant difference in combating senior depression and creating a sense of belonging. Remember how it felt to master something new when you were younger. That sense of accomplishment, of growth. Somewhere along the way, many of us stop seeking those experiences. We stick with what we know, what feels comfortable. In retirement, this tendency can become even more pronounced. Yet learning new skills is one of the most effective ways to maintain cognitive health and boost mood. I discovered this accidentally when my grandson asked me to learn to play Minecraft with him. At first, I was terrible, couldn't figure out the controls, kept falling into lava. But he was patient, and gradually I improved. Our shared interest became a bridge between generations, and I felt my brain lighting up with new neural pathways. This small success encouraged me to tackle something I'd always wanted to learn, playing the guitar. I found a teacher who specializes in teaching older adults, bought a second-hand instrument, and committed to practicing 15 minutes daily. Progress was slow and sometimes frustrating. My fingers ached. I made countless mistakes. But each small improvement brought disproportionate satisfaction. The focus required during practice also gave me respite from rumination, those circular negative thoughts that often accompany depression. Neuroscience confirms what I experienced. Learning new skills creates positive changes in the brain at any age. It promotes neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new connections and adapt. This not only protects cognitive function, but also promotes psychological well-being. The key is choosing something challenging enough to engage you, but not so difficult that it becomes discouraging. And remember, the goal isn't mastery, it's growth. Let me confess something. After retiring, my eating habits deteriorated. Without the structure of work, I found myself grazing throughout the day, often on processed snacks. Meals became irregular and hasty affairs. I didn't connect this to my mood until I read about the emerging research on the gut-brain connection. Scientists now understand that what we eat directly affects our mental health through various pathways, including inflammation and the gut microbiome. I was skeptical at first. Could diet really impact my depression? But I decided to experiment with some changes. First, I established regular meal times again, treating them as anchors in my day rather than afterthoughts. Second, I began incorporating more anti-inflammatory foods, fatty fish like salmon, colorful vegetables, berries, nuts, and olive oil. I didn't eliminate any food groups or follow a strict diet, just gradually shifted toward whole foods. Third, I reduced my alcohol consumption. I'd fallen into the habit of having 2 or 3 glasses of wine each evening, not realizing how it was affecting my sleep quality and consequently my mood. The changes in how I felt were subtle but significant. Within a few weeks, my energy became more stable throughout the day. The brain fog that I'd attributed to just getting older began to lift. And those afternoon slumps where I'd feel overwhelmingly sad, they became less frequent and less intense. I'm not suggesting that nutrition alone can cure depression, especially clinical depression that may require professional treatment. But I've learned that what we eat creates the biological environment in which our brain operates. Supporting that environment is a powerful act of self-care in retirement. You know what's ironic? I spent decades dreaming about how much I'd sleep when I retired. No more alarm clocks. No more sleep deprivation. But when retirement finally came, my sleep actually got worse. I'd fall asleep easily, but wake at 3 a.m. with racing thoughts. Or I'd sleep for 10 hours, but wake up feeling unrefreshed. Poor sleep and depression form a vicious cycle. Each worsens the other. Breaking this cycle became a priority. Here's what worked for me. I established a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time each day, even weekends. This helped regulate my body's internal clock. I created a bedtime routine that signals to my brain that it's time to wind down. For me, this includes reading fiction, a cup of herbal tea, and a brief meditation. I transformed my bedroom into what my sleep specialist called a sleep sanctuary, cool, dark, and free from electronics. I removed the TV that had been there for years and bought blackout curtains. Perhaps most importantly, I started treating insomnia episodes differently. Instead of tossing and turning in frustration, I now get up, go to another room, and do something calming until I feel sleepy again. This broke my association between the bedroom and sleep anxiety. Quality sleep isn't just about feeling rested, it's a fundamental component of mental health. During sleep, your brain processes emotional information and consolidates memories. Without sufficient sleep, emotional regulation becomes more difficult, and negative thoughts gain more traction. If you're struggling with both sleep issues and mood problems in retirement, addressing sleep quality might be one of the most powerful interventions available to you. Let me be honest, I've never been an exercise person. In my working years, physical activity happened incidentally, walking to meetings, taking the stairs between floors, the occasional weekend hike. When retirement removed these built-in movements, I became increasingly sedentary. The impact on my mood was more significant than I expected. Our bodies are designed to move, and when they don't, it affects not just our physical health but our mental well-being too. My journey back to movement wasn't about hitting the gym or training for a marathon. It started with simply interrupting long periods of sitting. Every hour, I'd get up and move around for 5 minutes. Stretching, walking to the mailbox, or doing a few simple household tasks. From there, I gradually incorporated more intentional movement. I discovered chair yoga through a free online class designed for seniors. The gentle stretches and focus on breath awareness became a daily practice I actually looked forward to. Then came the game changer, water aerobics at our community pool. The buoyancy of the water made movement easier on my joints, and the group setting added social connection. 3 times a week, I joined a dozen other retirees in the pool. We worked hard but laughed even harder. The research on exercise and depression is compelling. Physical activity stimulates the release of endorphins, increases the production of BDNF, and reduces inflammation, all factors that influence mood. But here's what I want to emphasize. Finding joy in movement matters more than the specific type of exercise. When physical activity feels like punishment, it's hard to sustain. When it brings pleasure through social connection, time in nature, or simply the satisfaction of moving your body, it becomes self-reinforcing. Start where you are with what you have. Even 5 minutes of gentle movement is better than none, and it often leads naturally to more. I used to roll my eyes at the word mindfulness. It seemed like another trendy concept, something for yoga enthusiasts and meditation retreats. Not for practical people like me. But as I worked to rebuild my life in retirement, I kept encountering the research on mindfulness and depression. Study after study showed its effectiveness in reducing rumination and preventing relapse. So I reluctantly tried a simple practice. For 5 minutes each morning, I would sit quietly and focus on my breath. When my mind wandered, I'd gently bring my attention back to breathing. I felt silly at first. Was I really just sitting here breathing? But after about 2 weeks of consistent practice, I noticed something. The space between my thoughts and my reactions was growing larger. I could observe my negative thoughts without immediately believing them or being swept away by them. This small shift had profound implications. When the thought "I'm useless in retirement" arose, instead of spiraling into hours of self-criticism, I could recognize it as just a thought, not a truth. This created room for more helpful perspectives to emerge. Over time, I expanded this mindfulness beyond formal practice into daily activities. I practiced eating 1 meal a day without distractions, noticing the flavors and textures. I tried taking showers with full attention to the sensations, rather than planning my day. Even washing dishes became an opportunity for presence. The cumulative effect was a quieter mind and a greater appreciation for simple moments. The constant background noise of worry and regret began to diminish. Not completely, I'm still human, but noticeably. If you're skeptical about mindfulness, as I was, I'd encourage you to approach it as an experiment. Try a simple practice for 2 weeks and observe any changes with curiosity rather than judgment. You might be surprised by what you discover. Looking back at that man sitting alone in his kitchen 3 years ago, I hardly recognize him. Not because everything in my life is perfect now, it isn't. I still have difficult days. Retirement still brings challenges. But I've discovered that joy in this chapter of life isn't about absence of struggle. It's about building a life rich enough in meaning, connection, and purpose that the struggles don't define you. The daily habits I've shared today, creating morning structure, finding purpose, nurturing social connections, learning new skills, eating to support brain health, prioritizing sleep, embracing movement, and practicing mindfulness, they've collectively transformed my experience of retirement. These aren't quick fixes. They're lifestyle practices that, when woven together, create a foundation for genuine well-being. And the beautiful thing, they're accessible to almost everyone, regardless of financial resources or physical limitations. If you're in retirement and struggling with your mood, if you're feeling that loss of purpose or identity, I want you to know that you're not alone. Depression among seniors is common, but not inevitable. There are pathways back to joy. Start small. Choose just one area I've mentioned today and make a modest change. Give it time to take root. Then build from there. And please, if your depression is severe or persistent, reach out for professional help. The habits I've described can complement treatment, but they're not substitutes for proper medical care when it's needed. I'd love to hear which of these approaches resonates most with you, or if you have other strategies that have helped you find fulfillment in retirement. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, this chapter of life holds possibilities you might not yet imagine. Your best days aren't behind you, they're still unfolding. Until next time, take care of yourself. Your future self will thank you.